Welcome back to Scale Auto Guys Workbench. Today we're working on this Coca-Cola sponsored 1980 Dodge RAM D50 from AMT. This is a tiny truck, but then again the actual truck was kind of small anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look at the parts that were in the box. First up is the full-length frame, the cab, the fender wells, the interior tub, which the door details are pretty light, but still doable. Slide that over there. Whoops. Your spare tire. Your wheel backs and some interior parts here. Your front and rear suspension, drive shaft, exhaust system. Not sure what that is. Fuel tank? Good guess. And of course, your hood and fender flares, which I do believe I'm going to be using on this build, because I have a plan. I have a plan. Next up is your little 4-cylinder engine and the associated parts for that. Next tree. Now it gives you an option of a bench seat or bucket seats. Your door mirrors, outside door mirrors and dash, and a center console if you're going to go with the bucket seats. This next tree is your bed, so you're going to have to build the bed. This usually turns out well, but sometimes it can be a little bit wonky. Sometimes the parts don't align quite right, but I usually get through that okay. It does have a front air dam, side air dams to go with the fender flares, and I'll be using those as well. And this is a tonneau cover. Would have been nicer if they didn't have the speakers molded into them. If it would have just been a flat tonneau cover, would have been nice. But that's what you get. The next tree is your chrome parts. I initially wanted to go with the wagon wheel, the chrome wagon wheels, but these ones here, these center lines, these are starting to look a little bit more appealing. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I'm really thinking about these. The offsets are a little different, so that may push those tires out from the body a little bit further, give it a more aggressive stance. So I might go with those. I'm thinking pretty strongly about that. Next one is your front rear windows, and it also has a cutout for, I didn't show you that on the cab. You can also do a sunroof right there, and then that's the glass for that. So I don't know if I'll do that or not, but maybe. And of course, being this is being a Coca-Cola sponsored kit, you have your cases of Coca-Cola. The last time I tried painting these, it didn't turn out quite as well as I'd liked. So I don't know if I'm even going to give it another attempt or not. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. And then your taillights. And last but not least, here's your direction sheet. Now this is pretty detailed, pretty self-explanatory. Now the surprise I have, and I don't know if this is going to work yet. I haven't really test fitted it. Oh, wait. There is one more thing. I almost forgot. Is the decal sheet. They do include gauge decals, so that makes it nice. Not only the gauges, but climate controls and radio controls. Door handles. Well, that's tailgate handle, actually. Sorry. It does give you the side markers. And a whole bunch of Coca-Cola labels. These are all for the pop cases, soda cases, depending on where you're living at in the country. I remember when I first moved to Florida and I was a kid, I met a person down there that I liked, and I asked her if she wanted to go to the store and get a pop. She didn't know what I was talking about. So, well, that's a Michigan thing, honey. Yeah, I think I was about 12 years old then. Oh well. I understand it now, but back then I was just a kid and didn't understand what she was talking about. Well, anyway, the surprise. Let's get on to the surprise. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know that not too long ago I built a 70 Coronet Super B. And in that Super B kit, it gives you an optional, an option between two different engines. One of them was the 426 Hemi, and the other was the 446 pack. Well, I used the 426 Hemi in that build, but I still have the 446 pack here. And I know it's the wrong color. I can change that. That's not a big deal. But now, like I said, I haven't totally test fit this yet, so I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that will fit. That will fit in there. Now, I don't know about the height. I don't know if I'm going to have any problems with hood clearance. I might end up with problems with hood clearance. I don't know yet. I'll have to wait until I get this all put together. But I'm thinking 446 pack. And, of course, with the Super B parts left over, let me dig them out of the bag here. Oh, that's all stuck. How did that happen? Give me a second. Bear with me. Okay. It also has this dual exhaust setup that ejects off the side. That's a possibility. Or I have some leftovers from the Surfer van, and those would be the chrome side pipes. And those, I get the correct side, those will just about work with that cab, but I'm not sure if that'll work with the ground effects package, that piece that goes in here. That might push it down too low. I don't know. But this kit also comes with some decent looking Michelin XGT2 tires. So we'll have to wait and see. I do have some off-road tires, but they're tall and thin. I like the wide, narrow tires, or wide, narrow. Wow. The wider tires with the low profile is what I meant. Whew. Been a long day. So anyway, you know, you have bigs and littles. Obviously, the bigger ones go on the rear. Unless you want to be weird, put them on the front. You can. You can do anything you want. So you got bigs and littles. If you want to call them bigs and littles, they're not that much smaller than the rears, but there you go. With this being a truck that has a suspension that is not molded into the chassis, I can also raise or lower that suspension to my desire to get the stance that I want. So those are some of the options I've been kicking around, and we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Let's get some the bed put together, the fender flares on, and kind of get a little bit of stuff together. We'll head over to the paint booth here in a little bit and start throwing some primer and get started on this. I'm really wanting to put this 440 in there. I think that it'll be really kind of cool. I may have to do, you know, I'm obviously going to have to probably modify the transmission tunnel there and a couple of other things, but I think I can make that work. I have all of the parts for that engine, valve covers and everything. So the only thing that's going to kill me is the hood clearance. That doesn't have a cutout for like putting a scoop on it or anything like that. And the last time I tried my hand at putting like a cowl induction kind of a thing on a hood, didn't turn out so well. I'm not that talented. But all right, like I said, let's get the bed built and some of the sub assemblies put together. Let's head over to the paint booth. Let's get some primer thrown down, and we'll see. All right, I'll see you in a couple of minutes. Alright fellas, I'm putting this 446 pack engine. This was the spare engine from the 70 Super B build. This 446 pack, that's what I'm putting in this truck. The engine only had a bell housing to this point here. And so I took the transmission from the truck's kit, I cut it, and I attached it to the engine here, so I have a complete engine transmission. Now, because this obviously is longer than the 4-cylinder that would come into this truck, to get the right offset and have room for the fan and everything up here between the radiator and everything, I have to push the engine back this far, which means I had to cut the cross member out of the frame here. So I'm going to have to set that back, because the engine's, that's about where it's going to set. So the cross member has to go from this point here where the cut mark is to basically over this cross member here. And because of that, come here, I've had to cut pieces to lengthen the cross member, and I'm going to have to sand and shape those to reattach it back lower and further back on the frame. So you can see where the pin is here, and I've placed the body and everything over this, and so I know approximately where that engine's going to sit. And unfortunately it's going to sit on the oil pan here, and I've already got the area cleared so I can glue it in place. So yeah, that's right about where it's going to sit, and I'm going to have to put that cross member in there. I haven't looked, I'm just guesstimating right at this point how much room I need for the fan and everything, and let's kind of piece it in there real quick. Yeah, that's going to be real close to the radiator, because those two holes are where the radiator sits. And yeah, that's going to be practically right in the into the radiator. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm only showing you this because if you decide to do this kind of a modification and add a V8 engine to your D50 pickup, this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to modify your cross member. You're going to have to move it back, etc., etc. I'm also going to obviously have to shorten the drive shaft here too. Now, this part of the drive shaft sits right in this yoke right here. So from here back, it's going to be the same size. So what I'm going to have to do is shorten the front of it. I'm not exactly sure how much yet. I'm probably going to have to take, gosh, probably about half of it out. If it's it sits like that, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me push it out there. If it sits like that, and this sits like this, well, I'm going to have to take 1/4 of an inch, thereabouts, 1/4 of an inch out, which isn't bad. It's not bad at all. So there we go. So I'm waiting for these tabs that I glued on to the cross member. I'm waiting for that glue to set up, and then I'm going to sand and shape that, and then we can get on to the engine installation. I've already done the front suspension. This is a posable front suspension. You don't have to have it posable if you don't want. I know a lot of guys don't like that, and I'm not a big fan of it, but I figured, what the heck, I'm doing all these other modifications, I might as well just go ahead and build that the way it's supposed to. And yeah, it's going to be really cool when I get it done. I'm going to use this exhaust system. I'm thinking, now this hooks directly into the, come here, I only want one of you. This hooks directly into the headers. And that's cool, but I think that'll put the exhaust right out at the back of the cab. And what I want to do is I want to put it out just in front of the back tires. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to extend this pipe out maybe a ½ an inch or so. And then that'll put the, because I'm figuring this is the front mount for the bed. So I want that exhaust system to sit basically right about here. Now this is obviously for the other side. It'll sit in there right about like that. And let me see. It's going to sit right about there. The engine's going to sit right about here. So I think the header will come out to about the back of the transmission bell housing, so I'm going to have to connect it between those two. And right at the moment I don't have a plan for that, but I will when the time comes. That's a pretty thick looking pipe, if you will, and I don't have any wire right here that I can use that's the same size, so it'll look normal. And I don't want to, well, I suppose I could probably find a piece of sprue that's about the same size and cut that to length, and it'll be just straight pipe between the header and there, and then into that muffler. So yeah, that's the plan. Whether or not I can get away with it, that's yet to be seen. But I think this is going to be a pretty cool looking truck when I get it finished. Alright, let me get some modifications done on that cross member, and I'll be right back with the engine installation. Okay fellas, I've got to the point where I've got the suspension put together on the front and the rear. Even have the spare tire mounted. It's time to put the engine in. And I've discovered that to put this engine in here, I had to do a little frame modification and engine modification, if you will, to get it to sit down in there in the frame properly. I had to cut the cross member here. It was up in this location. I had to cut it and move it back about a ½ an inch, and then I had to glue extensions onto that. What I basically did was, let me see if I can find one. Well, I can't. Well, here we go. I took like a flag here that has a part number on it, and I cut that off, cut it in half. Then I attached it to the cross member on each end, a little piece on each end, and then I sanded and shaped it to fit down in there, and then reattached it. I did have to grind a little bit out of the main cross member there and a little out of the oil pan to get this to work. But once you set it in place, you can't really see. Well, you can from underneath, and I'm going to fix that. But you can't really see it from the top side. And the engine sits down in there far enough now that when I put the radiator in place, it comes to right about the top of the radiator. I can't really take any more off of that to get it down any further without, grinding into the engine block, which I suppose I could probably do, but I'm not going to. I think the engine sits in there about as level as it's going to. And then after I do this, I have to modify the drive shaft here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to nip it off right here at this joint, because that's where it sits in this cross member here, in this cradle, if you will. It sits right there. I figure if I cut it off here, I can insert this into the transmission and see how much I have to cut off at this end. Looks like it's going to be roughly 3/8 of an inch, thereabouts, and then reattach the drive shaft to this point here, and then that should take care of that, and then we can move on to the next step. I have to put the wheels and tires on. Right now I've got them matched up, and I taped them together in pairs, so I know, okay, this is one side and this is the other side, so I'm not like mix and matching later on. I did that when I put the rims inside the tires. So that's it so far. After this step, this is the most complicated part of it. Now I'm not sure, now I don't have the carburetors on quite yet. They'll sit on, you know, here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put the air cleaner on, or if I'm just going to have to leave it open carburetors like that because of hood clearance. It looks like it'll fit based on, where did I put that? I've got so much stuff out here right now. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, based on the way this sits, the air cleaner might just fit. So I may be able to go with the air cleaner, and I have that sitting over here ready to go on there, basically. I can kind of do a quick mock-up. I'm not going to glue any of this together quite yet. I think that's going to just clear the hood. I may have to grind a little down on those carburetors yet to get that to fit under the hood. I'm thinking that it's going to clear, so I may not have to remove any more material than what I already have, and I think this makes this kind of unique. Have a 446 pack in a Dodge D50. Alright, let's get on with the next step. Let's get the tires put on, and I think after that it's on to the interior. I'm going to have to come up with some kind of radiator hose too. I already have the exhaust system. It's in a bag around here somewhere. Oh, I'm either going to go with these side pipes, or I'm going to go with the headers and those crazy mufflers that I showed you earlier. And again, I'm not sure. I don't want them coming out up here, which would be basically coming in just under the back of the cab of the truck. I want to move it back a little bit further, so it's coming out just in front of the back tires. So that's the plan. This modifying stuff is kind of cool. Anyway, let's get on with it. Great! Alright fellas, I finally got the engine set up in there, and because of the headers I used, the engine isn't sitting in there exactly the way I wanted it to, but it's a very tight fit, and well, this is what I have. I did manage to get the exhaust system. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, steering wheel stuck there. I did get the exhaust system built. I did use the headers, and this is that blue wire that you've seen me use in my last video with the 92 Silverado. Just use the blue wire again to make the exhaust pipes. These came with pipes attached, and these are it here. This is one of them, and it was too short. I didn't like the way it was on here. It would have put the mufflers right about here, and the exhaust outlets would have been just basically at the back corner of the cab, and I didn't like that. I wanted to push it back just a little bit and have it exit just in front of the back tires. So that's my modification. The engine does fit. Everything fits through, you know, I dropped the body on there and everything fits perfectly. I still have to fabricate a upper and possibly a lower radiator hose to go in there, and well, that part is done. I gotta figure out how that, oh, okay, there we go. The steering wheel. I'm working on the interior right now. I've got the seats in, and I'm working on the center console, and I'm getting ready to put the dash decals in place. So I grabbed the Hearst shifter out of the Super B model kit that I did a couple months back, and I'm going to put that in. I've got the 440 6-pack decal to put on the air cleaner, and I've got the dash decals to do so far. Now, like I said, I'm not building this in the Coca-Cola livery, so none of the Coca-Cola decals will be going on this, but there are a lot of other badges that came with the kit that are going on the kit. So let's get on it.
Minutes later.
Welcome back to the final on this 1980 Dodge RAM D50 Coca-Cola sponsored kit from AMT. This was a fun kit to build, and I love how the modifications turned out. The addition of that 446 pack from the Super B kit and the custom built exhaust system makes it a perfect sleeper. And even though this is a Coca-Cola sponsored kit, I decided to go without the traditional Coca-Cola colors and markings and build this into a hot little pickup truck. I like the stance of this truck and the wheels and tires that come with the kit. They really kind of set it off. I like the wheels that I chose over the wagon wheels. The wagon wheels are overdone, I think. So I'm going to save those for another build at a later date. I don't know what or when or whatever, but I'll probably put those to good use at a later time. So this kit also comes with a tonneau cover, a roll bar, and the extra seats that you see in the bed. Those are not attached in any way, and they're not painted. They're just primed. I put them together and I just threw them in the bed just to have them in there. The tonneau cover itself is, I'm not really crazy about how it is. It has these 4 speakers embedded in it, and if this had been just a flat tonneau cover, I would have liked it better. I would have painted it black and put it on there. I think it would have looked really great, but the 4 speakers didn't really do it for me, so I decided to go without it. As far as the interior goes, you saw that I did a black on black, and I did upgrade it a little bit by adding the Hurst shifter out of the Super B kit as well. The stock shifters that came with the kit, one was just white plastic that you had to paint, and it wasn't very big and it didn't look very good. And the custom shifter was a chrome T-handle shifter that went into the center console that's installed in there. I didn't like that one either because it was really tiny, and I thought, well, I'm putting this 446 pack in there, I might as well put the Hurst shifter in there as well to kind of complete the look. Now, the overall build does have a few flaws, though. One of them is the alignment pins and the holes in the bed to, mount the bed to the frame. Well, the holes aren't very deep and the pins aren't very large, so it's hard to get them kind of lined up. And if you glue the front of the bed down to the frame, the back end lifts off of the back of the frame, I should say, lifts off of the bed. So it causes the bumper to droop like this. However, if you clamp it down, the back end goes down, but the front end lifts. The fulcrum is right here in the center of the bed where the frame rises up over to go over the rear axle. And so you can't, it's one or the other. I tried to force it, but it just didn't hold. So I just went with this because pushing that frame up to meet the bottom of the bed, it would pull loose from the front. The body lines were all off. So I figured, well, it would be better to have the body lines look right and the bumpers drop down a little bit lower than normal. That was a better look than having the front of the bed up and the body lines all off and everything. At least this way here, it's kind of sleek looking. And you can tell by the gap here versus here how hard that is to get aligned. I thought I had it aligned, but I just now noticed that it is not. So in addition to that, the wheel wells don't set, or the tires, should I say, don't set center in the wheel wells. And that could be because I added that V8 in there instead of the little 4-cylinder that this truck comes with. That may have offset it just a smidge. Everything lined up though, as far as the frame and the fenders and all that, inner fenders and all that, it all lined up. So I'm not sure if that actually had any effect on, you know, adding that engine had any effect on the overall build of the truck, because it wasn't really that much longer. I mean, I think it may be a 1/16 of an inch longer, or an 1/8 of an inch longer, something like that. And I don't think that that really had a great deal of effect on the overall build. And it also, did I mention it? You can't turn the wheels left and right all the way because they hit the forward part of the fender flares here. And I know they look a little off, but there they are. So the V8 technically fits, but maybe it set that body off just a smidge. Did the best I could on that one. It still looks pretty good the way it turned out. I'm pleased with it, especially with that purple foil paint. Even though the can exploded in my hand while I was spraying it, it still turned out really good, especially after I added those 2 coats of clear. I didn't buff anything, I just put the clear on it and let it set. And this is the end result. I did do, as you can see, the foil around the windows here and across the top of the bed rails and the tailgate, just to give it a little extra pop. The decals, on the other hand, well, you can't see them really that well on the fender. You can see the Dodge RAM pretty well, but on the fender accents, no, nothing, hardly. It just looks like a smudge in the paint. I did pay homage to the Coca-Cola sponsorship though. I did add the little smiley face in the center of the back window here, and that is a smiley face, and it says drink Coke. I think it says drink Coke inside there, just below the smile. And of course I had to put the AMT logos in the back window. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. If you have any questions or comments, please write those in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to respond to you as soon as possible. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, or if you prefer, you can drop me an email at scaleautoguy@gmail.com. If you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. I have plenty of builds to go. Thanks for watching Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.